All right, let's talk about a hole. Not a hole in the ground, a hole in the world. A person is there, living their life, with all its mundane details. What they had for breakfast, the argument they had with their spouse, the errand they need to run. And then, they're not. They're gone. And the space they occupied doesn't close up. It just remains. A perfect person-shaped void that sucks in light, sound, and hope, leaving behind only questions. My name is Detective Kenda. I spent my career looking into these holes. And the case of Jason Jorgensen. This one, this one gets under your skin. It's not the stuff of dramatic shootouts or sinister conspiracies you see on TV. It's quieter. And in my experience, the quiet ones are the loudest hells for the families left behind. It was a Tuesday, October 17th, 2017, Boulder, Colorado. The air was starting to get that crisp bite, the kind that makes you want to build a fire. Jason Jorgensen, 42, was a man who apparently loved his routines. He was a senior architect at a firm downtown, married to Clara for 15 years, 2 kids, Ben and Sophie, 10 and 8. From the outside, it was a picture so perfect you'd want to put it on a holiday card. But as I always say, the frame might be gold, but the picture inside could be a scream. Jason's day was unremarkable. He left work at 5:15 p.m., stopped at Whole Foods. We have the receipt. Organic chicken, broccolini, a bottle of Malbec, the dinner of a man who plans to see tomorrow. He texts Clara. Stopped at store. Home by 6. Tell kids to have homework done. The last digital footprint of a living man. He never made it home. Now, this is where the average person thinks, well, he left. He wanted out. I've heard it 1,000 times. Midlife crisis, secret life. And sometimes, that's exactly it. But police work isn't about sometimes. It's about evidence. And the evidence at the Jorgensen home told a very specific and very bizarre story. Jason's dark gray Lexus SUV was found the next morning in the parking lot of a scenic overlook about 10 miles from his house. Not a random spot. It was their spot, where he and Clara had their first kiss. The car was locked. Clean. Impeccably clean, in fact. His laptop bag was on the passenger seat. His phone, wallet, and keys were gone. The groceries were still in the trunk. The chicken was starting to smell. No signs of a struggle. No tire marks, suggesting a carjacking. It was as if he drove there, got out, and simply evaporated into the thin mountain air. We tore that car apart. Forensics, luminol, the works. Nothing. Not a drop of blood, not a stray hair that shouldn't have been there. It was polite. And in this business, politeness is deeply suspicious. Violence is messy. It's emotional. It leaves a mess. This was clean. This was planned. We looked at his life, and this is where the picture in the gold frame started to crack. Jason was under immense pressure. His firm was auditing the books. A partner was suspected of embezzlement. Jason's name was swirling in the rumor mill. At home, finances were tight. Clara had no idea how tight. We found out Jason had taken out a second mortgage, maxed out credit cards. He was drowning, but he was smiling on the way down. He was due to meet with a bankruptcy lawyer the following week. So, the theory. A man, overwhelmed, stages his own disappearance. He drives to a sentimental spot, leaves the car, and walks away into a new life. It happens. It's almost understandable. But then there's the coffee. The morning he vanished, Jason bought a coffee at the shop in his building. The barista, a girl named Maya, knew his order by heart. Large black eye. That's a coffee with 2 shots of espresso in his reusable thermos. He was a creature of habit. That thermos was left on his desk, half full. Now, I want you to think about that. You're a man who is about to execute a plan to vanish off the face of the earth. You're stressed, you're anxious. What's one thing you're almost guaranteed to do? You're going to mainline caffeine. You're not going to leave half of your highly caffeinated stress-combating beverage on your desk. It's a small thing, a stupid thing. But in a case with no evidence, the stupid things are all you have. It doesn't fit. The man who planned this meticulous vanishing act, the clean car, the sentimental location, doesn't match the man who forgets his liquid courage. So we look elsewhere. The embezzling partner? He had a rock-solid alibi. A competitor who wanted to sabotage the firm. A dead end. We looked at Clara. Always look at the spouse. But her grief was profound. It wasn't the performative grief you see sometimes. It was quiet, hollow. She wasn't mourning a marriage. She was mourning her person. Her alibi was the kids' soccer practice. 47 people saw her there. For 3 years, the case went cold. It became a file in a drawer, another hole in the world. Then, in the fall of 2020, a hiker in a remote part of the Roosevelt National Forest, miles from that scenic overlook, finds something. Not a body. We never get that lucky. He finds a key fob for a Lexus, worn by weather, but the logo still visible, and tucked under a rock nearby. A wallet. Jason Jorgensen's wallet. No cash, no credit cards, just his driver's license, a faded photo of the kids, and a grocery list. Broccolini, chicken, wine. The location was impossible. It was a brutal 15-mile hike from where the car was found, through terrain you wouldn't traverse without serious gear. Jason was a weekend warrior, not Bear Grylls. He didn't just wander out there. So what does that tell us? It tells me someone else was there. Someone took the car keys and the wallet from Jason. That someone drove the car to the overlook to stage a scene. And then, that same someone later hiked deep into the wilderness to dispose of the keys and the wallet. Why? Why not bury them? Throw them in a river? It feels personal. It feels like a message, a final, cruel joke. You'll never find him. I put him in a place you'll never look. We never found Jason Jorgensen. We likely never will. So what happened? Here's what I think. I think Jason's financial chaos intersected with a darker world. A loan shark? A desperate business associate? He met someone that night, before he came home. Someone he owed money to. There was a confrontation. It went wrong. And the person responsible was smart. Not a thug, but someone who knew how to think. They created a puzzle with no solution. They used Jason's own life, his sentimental spot, his habits, as a weapon against the investigation. The dark humor? It's in the details. The man who was killed over organic chicken and a bottle of wine. The meticulous criminal who stages a disappearance but forgets the half-drunk coffee that ultimately undoes the entire theory of suicide or flight. The universe has a sick sense of irony. The whole remains. Clara sold the house. The kids are older now. They visit the scenic overlook sometimes, that perfect, beautiful place that was chosen to be the stage for their father's nightmare. We look into these holes not because we expect to find answers, but because the families deserve to have someone bear witness to the void, to acknowledge that their person was here, and that their absence is a real, tangible thing. Jason Jorgensen is gone, but the shape he left behind, that remains. And it's a shape we'll keep looking at forever.